To delete these user, what I need to do is I need to actually connect. Where? I'll just go to PowerShell. And the PowerShell, what I need to do is I need to download Azure AD commands. Okay, I've already downloaded. I'll say connect MSOL, Microsoft Online Service. It may prompt me to enter my credential. This credential has to be not outlook.com. No, it has to be one of the user. If you can recall, like I was having Vikram and Sample as an Azure Active Directory user. So I have to add it here. Vikram @Amit MCP outlook.on Microsoft.com. It is a very tough thing which I am trying to do. Don't do it if you are not good with it. This is actually to remove those users which have been unnecessarily synced and I cannot delete it. I can select Vikram and I can delete it, but I can't delete the sync users. To delete the sync user, I have to go and I have to go here and I have to say, once I sign in, I have to say get MSOL. I forgot. Just give me a second. Get MSOL service principal. Just see, all these are the service principal which have been got. Okay, these service principal, many of the services, some users are service specific unattended user account, and some user. If I just go and look for not service principal, but if I look for get user. So here I will see like user as user 2, user 3, user 1, sync user. So I have to say here remove MSL user hyphen user principal user 1 at toolbugs.tk. I have to say yes. User 2, yes. User 3, yes. And I have to remove the sync user also. Which one? This sync account has been created for syncing the. I hope you can see here. Now if I just look for refresh, you can see user 1, user 2, user 3 has been removed. Then I have to remove this on-premises sync user, sync VMDC, this one. I have to go all the way here and I have to say here. And if I just go back and see here, refresh, that has been removed. These users are the one which I have created from here. So I can remove any given point time. I can remove sample. Oh, sample can be removed easily. I can remove that user who was created as demo. I can remove it. But the sync user has to be removed very, very systematically. I hope you can also see like that we had something called forest to forest authentication. So here I had something called in Active Directory. I had custom domain option here. Where is the custom domain? Yeah. So here there's a custom domain. This one. If you click onto the custom domain, if I delete the custom domain, now there is an option available as delete. I can delete the custom domain. Only that time the domain will be removed if the domain specific users will be removed. And I remove those users by going to the MSOL command. So basically there are certain things which is actually been, if you are good with the Office 365, if you are good with the MSOL commands, if you are good with the how Office 365 works with the integration with Azure. So you have to learn a bit of Azure AD, how it works at the back. So then you get to know all these things. So my point is like any given point time I can actually look for Azure AD and Azure AD group information. So if I just go here and say here get AZ AD group, enter. So it will show me all the group which have been available into my. Oh, sorry, it will not work. The reason being I am not connected. I'm only connected to MSOL but not to the Azure from here. So let me Azure AZ account. I hope, I think I did it from here. So let me do it from here. And if I just say get AZ group, AZ group, sorry. So you'll get to know that the group is WinRM user WRMI, this three. If I just go back now and hit on to those user which was unnecessarily getting those groups which was unnecessarily getting created even after I deleted it. Now because I've removed that sync part, I think WinRM will be automatically created again, maybe after some time. Just see. So now you know that user, that particular group is not created. So you can see here get AD group will getting created here. Should have not been by now. Because some groups are internal, they get created, but not everyone. So I've got AD, this one, Azure Active Directory Domain Controller Administrator. This is one. So if I go and create a new group here, let's say I'll just give a group name as my group. I need not to give the ownership and everything. And if I just click here and say get hope, after a while it will show me. Just give me a second. Let's wait here. This is the group and this is the ID. Can you see this ID? This is what it is expected here in the slide. If you want to add a particular group, sorry, a user into a group, so you require a group ID and you require a user ID. So if you added a user, if you can recall that you added a user called get AZ AD user, and you see all the user. One of them is demo. This is the user ID. So you have to do what? You have to add AZ AD group member. If I do add AZ AD group member, and I have to say here, what is that? What is that? I think member object ID is the one. It has been changed now. So I will say member object ID. Member object ID will be the one which you have to define as a. This is the one. This is the ID. This is the user ID. Member who wanted to be a member of this. I say Control C, and here I say Control V, and after that I have to say here target group object ID, and here I have to give the object ID of that target group. Target group is this one. Control C. Oops, sorry. And here paste it. So what does that mean? If I just look for group here, in this can in the under the member, you'll see demo has become a member of it because of that command. It is pretty simple to work with the if you've been aware of how to work with the uh, Active Directory users and group command in using PowerShell. Similarly, it is Azure AD PowerShell commands. Nothing great. So that's how it is. Adding a group owner, adding a user. You can add the owner also for a group. So I hope you've been aware of. Yeah, I can show you the last command. So this is the command. If you can look for that in place of object ID, that's why I was confused because member now they have changed the switch name as member object ID. So member object ID is the ID of that user. The user is Vikram demo. This is the you can see 268F. 268F. That's a member object ID. Target group object ID is the object ID of the group. So we can actually do the same thing, like by going to the portal and look for owner, and you can add the owner of the group, that who can own the, who's owning the group. So normally you can actually give it to the user who can become an owner of the group. Owner of the group means that he has an option of managing the group. So group ownership, whom you want to give, group membership you want to give. Group membership is actually a member of, or user who want to be a member of that group, something like that. But ownership is the one who will be managing this group. So here, group membership, you can add membership. So this group, okay, uh, you can actually make other group part of this group. So group to group membership. A group can also become a member of other group, something like that. So member means user membership. Owner means the group ownership of given to a particular user who can manage the group. And group ownership means that this group has been actually becoming a super group for other groups. Okay, so that's how it is. So you have already seen that I have already discussed about domain. How can you read the domain? I hope you remember that I told you that if you go all the way to Active Directory, Azure Active Directory, you can read that this is a domain. Now how can you interpret it? Because this is your email ID, corresponding to your email ID, it creates a domain, and that domain will be participating under the subdomain as a main domain as on Microsoft.com. Everyone has been doing this, and we saw that how the things get synced. So after that, we also saw as to how to create a user, how to add the group, and how to sync the user also via Azure AD. All those stuff we have already done. We also saw role-based management. But last topic of this particular chapter is talking about the policies. Now, policy is basically is nothing but a kind of set of rules you have to enforce via some policy statement or some rule definition. Okay, so consider what is policy, how to implement policy, what are the policy definitions, and combination of policy becomes something called initiative. So let's see what is policy. Policy is nothing but a kind of service in the Azure which you can create, which you can use to create, assign, and manage other policies. So policy runs some evaluation and scan the non-compliant resource. So organization can actually define the policies in case if the resources which have been deployed against your subscription, or within your subscription, does not follow or does not conform to that policies. That means those particular resources become non-compliant. So using policy, what you can do is you can actually take an example of it is something like that people, even developers, follow something called code coverage policies. So you've been also following some enforcement and compliances which can be implemented by enforcing the policies at infrastructure end. So a lot of people have been following some policies. Some policies statements has to be not based upon automation policies, or some will be done or governed manually also. So consider an initiative is actually a combination of multiple policy definitions. And policies definition is the one which actually will be checking the resources, whether the resources have been following the compliance as per your policy definition or not. So this initiative definition will be the rule book which your company had determined for the resources which is being deployed under Azure subscription. So every policy or set of policies will be part of initiative. However, it can also run independently as well. But understand how to create a policy. It says many policy definitions are inbuilt available. Out of box, we have been given some policy definition. You can also import the policy from GitHub given by Microsoft. And but I don't know whether your organization permits this or not, because many of the organization doesn't permit you to use the policy which has been put somewhere into GitHub, because that GitHub account which has been offered by Microsoft a lot of people can contribute on it. So we cannot rely whether those policies have been not tempered by anybody, or not. So if we can actually look for Microsoft Azure policy GitHub. So Microsoft actually gives you a repository, Azure-based repository. Under that, it gives you Azure policy as one of the repository. Under that, it gives you a lot of, policy compliance based policies which will be defined here. So I don't know whether you will be going to go through with it or not. No company I've seen that MNC been using this, because they feel that this is, since GitHub is open and anybody can actually contribute, and we cannot rely upon whether the policy has been tempered by somebody or not. Even though this is actually a public repository, but contribution right has not been given to everyone. It is actually Microsoft own repository. You can download things, but you cannot actually upload the things here. Only Microsoft people can upload it. So that way, but people do not trust on it. I don't know, for some reason. So my point is that if I look for policies here, so I've got policies here. So you can look for that what all resources been not following the policy or something like that. So one of them is non-compliant is 96%. So that means if I click onto this ASC default, so this is the default policy. As per this policy, if you look for that out of 172, sorry, out of 180, 172 has been following the compliance. Only few things is not been following the compliance, and it is telling you what internet-facing virtual machine. Adaptive application control should be. So these are the standard policy compliance documents or rules will be checked against your Azure deployed resources. But you can actually look for these things. This encryption should be applied onto virtual machine. So I've got 3 virtual machine deployed, and none of the virtual machine has got this encryption allowed. Enabled. Vulnerability should be remediated by vulnerability assessment tool. Access through internet facing should be restricted. I enabled it. I hope you remember, at the time of going to any VM, I've been to that VM and I said enhanced internet security should be disabled. Management port should be closed for your virtual machine. So normally, that's a policy compliance that nobody should be given the direct access of RDP. So only when it is required for limited time, we should open RDP, not to every time. So only the working port should be enabled, not the management port. That's what. So these are some policy governance tools, and some governance tools are compliant. You can check here. These are the inbuilt policies which have been given. And if you look for the policies here, so we have been given something called definitions here. And these are the policies. So you can either create policy here or you can create an initiative here. Click on this will create a policy, and you have to define the definition of the policy, where the policy has been defined. So you have to have under this, what is the name of the policy? My policy. What is the policy definition you have to define? So maybe I can use the existing category, which category, or I can create a new category as custom category. And then what is most important is that how do you define the policy? Just see, it's not so easy to define it, but people define it using JSON. The same thing is policy rule. If not field, which field? Location. In, this is one of the example. In here, parameter allowed location. Parameter allowed location maybe I wanted to put the policy that this policy should be applied to my subscription, that my any of the resource should not go beyond beyond East US, West US, South Central US, etc. So this way I can actually govern some rule that okay, any resource which will be deployed outside East US, West US, or South Central US, that means that resource is not following my policy compliance. It doesn't restrict. You can still deploy, but when this policy will be checked against, you know, the compliance, the resources which will be deployed outside East US, West US, or South Central US will not be actually compliant to this policy. That's what. So you can define. You can also take the sample repository from the GitHub. As I said, that will take you to Microsoft GitHub repository here. So there are built-in policies here. You can look for the policy definitions here. So there are policies which have been given for different type of resources. Can you see? Nothing more than if you look for any particular policy, it is nothing more than kind of JSON data. You have to read that particular JSON file and to understand that what that policy is doing. It's pretty simple. The policy says here that allowed values here, okay, which means you can deploy something called API application only. So my point is if somebody knows how to read the policy definition from the JSON data, you can actually choose a policy which will be defined by Microsoft, make a changes in the policy definition if it's good with the JSON, and then you can create the policy like I'm creating it right now. So there's a policy which gets created here, and you'll be able to search for that policy here. So if I look for custom policy, my policy has been defined here. But I need to assign that policy after creating a policy. And then I have to actually do what? Either say assign policy. And here I can say, oh, where do I want to assign the policy? Do I want to check all the resource group or a specific resource group? I said, oh, please check all the resource group. Yep. And what is the definition of policy? I select the policy as custom policy. And I said, my policy as custom policy assigned for all resource groups of my subscription. Means the description you can give it by yourself. Oh, sorry. I'm so sorry. And here, I'm so sorry. Please understand, as per the policy, I want to enable this policy. I say next, and I have to say oh, location should be. I said location should be. I'm doing it intentionally wrong, just to show it. Or maybe I'm saying location should be South Central US. South. So I selected two allowed locations, South India or South Central US. But I know that I have deployed something under. It says by default this assignment will only affect for a newly created resources. Existing resources can be updated via a remediation task after the policy has been assigned. And then it says to manage identity associated with the assignment, remediation is not there right now. Let it be. So now onward, what will happen? That I've created one more policy and then I assigned it. Rather than creating a policy, I can also go to initiative. Initiative is the combination of multiple policies. So like you created one policy, I can actually put multiple policy as a part of initiative. And rather than assigning a single policy, I assign the whole initiative. So either you can assign individual policy or you can assign a combination of policy as an initiative. So here, combination of policy looks like this icon. Can you see? And single policy looks like this icon. You can check the icon difference. This is a initiative and this is a policy. So my point is that these policies been applied, and if I just look for compliance, soon the policy will be going to get applied. It says not started yet. Okay, that policy will be checked against. So since I have applied it, so it will take some time. Okay, so after some time we will be able to get the report which indicate whether the compliance succeeded or not. In my case, it will not succeed. The reason being that most of the resources which I have deployed, let me show it to you. Here, all resources. Just see, all resources have been deployed either into East US, East US 2, or West US. Not in South India, not in South Central. So as per this policy, which I said, like, no, that I will get the compliance as failed. So that's what we define. So always remember, initiative is a combination of multiple policies. You can define interrelated policies. Take an example. One policy is actually to deploy it onto VM, and one policy you want to deploy for VM corresponding storage. Has to be in the same location. So you can define two different policy part of a single initiative and then apply that initiative to your resource book. That resource book will be actually been deploying the resources corresponding to an organization, and that organization is actually deploying the VM and the storage of the VM. So you want, like, that resources and should be deployed against that particular policy. So please understand, policy will not restrict things. Policy will only tell you the last, whether your policy has been compliant or not. If it is not compliant, that means you're not following the organization rules. In that case, you may be what? Maybe question, something like that, or maybe ask for explanation. That could be the thing. But always remember, policy will be initiated that way only. So one more thing, I'll wind up my further session. I would request you, there's a humble request to everyone. Okay, who's ever been joined here right now, and those who've been there right now since they are actually out for meeting, I would humbly request everyone, because since today is the last day, and I've been given the mail by RPS. Where's the mail? I think the notes gave me a mail, but just give me a second. Just give me a second, sir. Please give me a few minutes. I have to speak to the concerned person. Okay, I think Amrinder asked me something. To create a policy, every time we have to make necessary changes within the coding template. Yes, yes, yes. Amrinder, yes. policy definition is actually nothing more than kind of JSON file. So if you actually wanted to make some change, you should be good in making those modifications to JSON file. It's not difficult, but yes, because the syntax and semantical aspect is quite new even to the programmer. So one has to go through with that predefined template of policy given by Microsoft, and then only you can do some tweaking further. I hope I answered your query, Amrendra, regarding the policy, dear. So I would request everyone that can you please visit onto this link for the time being. Everyone can. It's a humble request to everyone. Please be onto this link, and please for the last time at least respond that after going to this link, you have to fill a small survey. Please fill that survey, sir, and I need every feedback is valuable. No, 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 no. It's the feedback of the training which I've conducted. I hope you find it fruitful, Amrendra. So please fill my survey. It's actually how the training went. What do you felt about the training? I hope you are getting the recorded sessions also. And furthermore to it, any given point in time, anybody who's looking for any kind of help in context to any type of cloud, you can be in touch here. This is my personal email address. I'll check it on and off. And those who are from India also, I don't know whether US people can able to join or not, but this is my phone number. So you can be in touch in this detail. Uh, so I would request everyone, please, Mr. Asad, John, Kevin, Logeshwaran, Pranay, if he's around, uh, Mr. Ramesh, Ratish, Ravi, Saf, everybody to actually fill this feedback, dear Vipin. And please, after filling the feedback, just mention whether you submitted a feedback or not. It's a humble request, because the feedback is very important and really counts for us. So I think Mr. Hemant is not around today. A lot of people have not been there. Uh, I would be needing the help from Amrendra soon. While I'll ask him. But please, meanwhile, I would request you. It's a small survey. Please fill it, and after filling it, please put into chat box, guys, that you filled it. So if you are looking for any kind of help from the examination perspective, if you are planning to give the exam, so please do not hesitate contacting me. Okay. Uh, what else? Okay, thanks Amrendra for your feedback here. Uh, Thank you, Satish, if it is done. Thank you very much. Thank you, Ravi. Thank you very much. Ratish, thank you. Saif, thank you, dear. Ramesh, thank you, sir. Satish, Bhaskaran, thank you, sir. Mr. John, have you filled the feedback, sir? Or Kevin, are you there? No, no, that kind of question will not come on it. Amrendra. The questions I will, if you want, like question to be, uh, you know, uh, for the practice purpose, you please write a mail to me. I have given you the mail ID, and I can help you now in that case. I would request you others also, please fill it. Thanks, Asad. Thanks for your time. Logeshwaran, are you able to fill it, sir? Mr. Ramesh, I think Mr. Ramesh has given the go ahead. Okay. Mr. Suresh Kumar, I think Suresh Kumar is and Unnati. I don't know. These guys are can see them like for last 3 4 days. Can you please? Can I request Mr. Unnati Mauchi and Mr. Suresh Kumar to also fill in? Every feedback counts there, so please fill it. Mr. Devi Kishore, I can see him today only. Logeshwaran, Mr. Logeshwaran, are you there? You've been there since one day, first day. Mr. John, Mr. Devi Kishore, Mr. Logeshwaran, if you can please fill in the feedback, that's important here. Mr. Suresh Kumar, there's a link which has been given to your chat window. If you want, I can again paste it, but it's very important to fill in. Thank you, Unnati. Uh, whoever is left, please fill it, sir. John, are you there? Can you please fill the feedback? The survey which has been given to you, the link. John? Okay, okay. Sorry, John. Sorry. Hey, John, are you done with your fifth survey? Mr. Suresh, I think you not filled it. Logeshwaran, are you there? Thank you, John. Thank you, Kevin, for your wonderful time. It was expected from all of people. Logeshwaran, Mr. Logeshwaran, did you fill the feedback or survey which has been given to you as a link? Did you get the chance to see the link, Logeshwaran? Did you submitted the feedback, sir? Okay, okay, okay. Thank you very much, sir. Mr. Devi Kishore, were you part of the full training? Because I could not recall your name during my training time. Can you please revert back, sir? Mr. Devi Kishore? Mr. Suresh Kumar? Were you part of the training? Were you part of the training, sir? Full training? Because I could not see that time in your name. If it is, then I would request you. Have you got your feedback link which was given? Is it available to you? Can you please look into chat box, or shall I type it for you guys? To Mr. Suresh, did you get a chance to fill in the feedback link? Did you fill the feedback, sir?
Hello.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Suresh. If you filled in,
Hello.
thanks a lot. Okay, with all this, I would like to just give me a second. I just have to note down those people who have filled it. I think Mr. Devi Kishore is not responding. Uh, Thank you, Logesh. Thank you for your time. You know. Okay. So last but not the least is for those gentlemen, who. Thank you very much, dear. So thank you very much to everyone who was participative, in spite of this training being, a remote session. So I really appreciate people like John, Kevin, specifically Kevin and Amrendra, those who kept on time to time asking the question and making the session more interactive, including Mr. Bhagan, who is not around right now, maybe because of meeting, but he was the single point of contact and was been very supportive in terms of getting the required. I hope you all have been getting the recording sessions of the training which has been conducted so far, and you'll also be getting the last day recording session as well. So uh, I would say thank you all for participation, for your active participation, and happy learning in future. Best of luck for your Azure certification if you are planning to give it. So last but not the least is you know uh, try giving the certification as fast as possible after going through with the uh, one of the best way to actually go through with the certification, I would say, would be if you can actually go for typing something called AZ103, uh, and if you just type your exam 103, that's what I'm telling you, the last topic which will be useful for you guys. So just go to 103, and here you'll be able to see that there'll be something called online free, and these are the learning part you actually have to go through with, along with the lab exercises which have been given in your book. But if you go through with all these topics, and these topics are by themselves, it's actually been a complete small, 2-3 hours of session, or sometimes 12 modules here, 9 module here, 12 module here, 5 module here. So they are sometimes 1 to 2 hours of 2 to 3 hours of module. One has to go through with all these modules in order to feel comfortable towards you know, Azure from the certification perspective, and they are freely available, so you can actually prepare yourself for certification. And it will also emphasize upon the level of what you call uh, the percentage of the questionnaire which will be coming based upon that the modules have been designed here. So they'll be useful for free online preparation for the exam, along with the book. Of course, I would say that book is also important for you, along with the exercises which we have done so far, or the demonstration which I have shown you so far. But on top of that, this also learning path will also help you a lot. So thank you very much for being part of the training. See you soon in future. Thanks a lot.